Hey everyone, I'm Exit over here, and I'm here to do a video on Spider-Man Far From Home, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, or whichever, it's all connected to one. So there's going to be huge spoilers for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. up until this point, and there's also going to be spoilers for the MCU up until this point. So if you haven't seen Infinity War yet, or you don't want to know what happens in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. up until the end of Season 5, then maybe don't watch this video. So this video is basically, I want to talk about if Spider-Man Far From Home and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 will be tied together in any way, because we have confirmation that Nick Fury and Maria Hill will be in Spider-Man Far From Home. On top of that, we now know from official pictures revealed that Peter will be wearing his S.H.I.E.L.D. stealth suit, or the Noir suit. On top of all this, in the description or the synopsis for the movie, it says that Nick Fury comes to Peter to kind of give him a mission in Europe. I forget what the exact wording is, but basically Nick Fury is getting Peter to kind of go after certain enemies. So this really feels like Peter will be working for Nick Fury and by extension working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And this isn't a new thing in Spider-Man. Both the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon and the Ultimate Spider-Man comics both heavily delve into Peter working with S.H.I.E.L.D. On top of this, since the MCU version of Peter Parker is very much based off of the Ultimate Spider-Man version of Peter Parker, it's pretty easy to tell that this is going to be the Peter working with S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline. The thing is, though, is that this would kind of have to tie into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So a quick summary on what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of at, if you haven't been watching the show. So, assuming you just watched the movies, you probably know that at the end of Captain America the Winter Soldier, it was revealed that Hydra was inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Because of this, S.H.I.E.L.D. essentially collapsed in on itself, and not much of it got out. If you only watched the movies, what you would think is that Nick Fury and Maria Hill has been running kind of a small, splintery group of S.H.I.E.L.D. Outside and doing kind of covert missions. That's not really what it is at all. Nick Fury's version of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't the official S.H.I.E.L.D. As a matter of fact, in Age of Ultron, the helicarrier that he gets, that comes from Phil Coulson and his division of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The last couple of years, S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of running stealthily, not really out in the open. In Season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., however, they came out into the open with their new director, Jeffrey Mace. He brought them out again into the light as being like, S.H.I.E.L.D's back, we're not Hydra, we're the good guys. That was the first time that S.H.I.E.L.D. had been in the spotlight since around Winter Soldier, I want to say. This Season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would line up with Doctor Strange-ish time. Yeah, it lines up with Doctor Strange, so end of 2016 is when that would have taken place. So end of 2016, which is after Captain America Civil War, but then S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of again was dubbed a terrorist organization when this group pretended to use S.H.I.E.L.D. a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Daisy Johnson. So they made an LMD of her. LMD being like an android. They used that LMD to attack a person called Glenn Talbot, and they shot him, making S.H.I.E.L.D. the bad guys again. This went on until the newest episode, the Season 5 final, in which S.H.I.E.L.D. came back fully. Chicago was under attack by Glenn Talbot, who is now a villain. He was in an alien spaceship. Sorry, I'm really trying to simplify this as much as possible because this show is very complicated. Yeah, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. came back, they came to Chicago, and they saved it, and the reason why it was S.H.I.E.L.D. that had to do this, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., was because this took place the exact same time as Infinity War, so all the Avengers were off in Wakanda, dealing with that kind of shit. There's actually a theory that the scene at the end of Avengers Infinity War, with Nick Fury and Maria Hill in the car, that is actually in Chicago, and they're following up on Agent Coulson's team, doing the big battle in Chicago. It's been confirmed that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 will now follow Mac as a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's like Mac, Daisy Johnson, Yo-Yo. They're going to be running the new division of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some of the new season of S.H.I.E.L.D. will probably involve space as they have to go and get Fitz back. So since it's pretty much confirmed that Nick Fury will be attached to S.H.I.E.L.D. in Spider-Man Far From Home, everything lines up. That means that Peter Parker is going to be lined up with S.H.I.E.L.D. How much connection will there be between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 and Spider-Man Far From Home? Another reason why there could be a huge connection is because both of these come out in July. Spider-Man Far From Home comes out early July, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is slated to air July 2019. I don't think it has an official date yet, but it is slated for July 2019. So it's reasonable to assume that both of them will be interlinked, because S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past has tied into many of the movies. S.H.I.E.L.D. is tied into Winter Soldier, tied into Iron Man 3, tied into Thor the Dark World, Doctor Strange, Civil War, even Infinity War. Pretty much the only movies it hasn't tied into over the last few years is Black Panther, Spider-Man Homecoming, the Guardians movies, and Thor Ragnarok. That's kind of it. I might space one or two. Oh, Ant-Man the Wasp, but it wasn't on at the same time as Ant-Man the Wasp came out. But yeah, these coming out at the same time really make me think that they're trying to line something up so that they'll work together, because I feel like it'll be hard to have Nick Fury running a S.H.I.E.L.D. in Spider-Man Far From Home without acknowledging that S.H.I.E.L.D's been a pretty big deal in the MCU for the last few years. Even though it hasn't been shown on the movies, they've saved the world a couple of times over now. They're a pretty big deal in the wider earth of the MCU. So I feel like they have to acknowledge, one way or the other, that there has been another S.H.I.E.L.D. working. This also could be happening because with Coulson coming back to the movies with Captain Marvel, it's possible that the bridge between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the movies is getting smaller, which would be great, because over the last few years there has been a much bigger strain on the relationship between the two because of how Marvel Television and Marvel Studios don't really get along that well, and thus there's been much less connections than usual. For example, Age of Ultron and The Winter Soldier had about as big a tie-ins to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as you could get, whereas Doctor Strange and Civil War just had basically a one-off line at the beginning of an episode. Doctor Strange had a bit of a bigger connection with the book, but even that was never explicitly described as being a connection to Doctor Strange. It just so happened that their story arc with the book and Doctor Strange's movie lined up at the exact same time, and since they were so similar, it's kind of hard to ignore that they're probably the same thing. So yeah, I think there's going to be at least some kind of connection between the two mediums, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 and Spider-Man Far From Home. There kind of has to be. I mean, there's no way they can get around this. I just hope that Nick Fury's S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't mean that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are kind of rendered mute, I guess, because they've been such a big deal in the MCU over the last few years that I really would just hate for them to kind of be hand-waved away by that because the movies want to use Nick Fury and Maria Hill again. This also means that S.H.I.E.L.D's probably sticking around because, not the show, I mean the government agency, which is weird because I really thought that they were going to kind of do away with S.H.I.E.L.D. and instead transition into S.W.O.R.D. S.W.O.R.D. is like the space division of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're called the Sentient World Observation and Response Department, and they're just S.H.I.E.L.D. in space. And the reason why I thought that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of going to slowly transition into S.W.O.R.D. was because the new season really felt like a final, because they didn't know if they were going to get renewed or not. And because of that, a lot of the characters kind of had definitive ends. Coulson, May, Fitz, to a degree. Fitz could definitely be brought back, but in comparison to other characters, he got kind of an end. And then we transitioned into Mac, Daisy, Yo-Yo, and Simmons, all leading a new version of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I thought that they would transition to S.W.O.R.D. because Season 5 of S.H.I.E.L.D. was heavily took place in space. As a matter of fact, the first 8 or 9 episodes of Season 5 all took place practically in space, besides Episode 1 and Episode 4 taking place on Earth, with 1 and 4, the scenes that took place on Earth were all flashbacks. So yeah, and on top of that, we know that Season 6 is going to have space elements in some way because they have to go back into space to collect Fitz. So I was thinking that maybe they were going to transition S.H.I.E.L.D. into S.W.O.R.D. and kind of have now them be big space operation, because after Infinity War, there's going to be tons of cosmic threats out there. It's going to be getting deeper and deeper into the cosmic part of the MCU than ever before. Another thing that could happen, though, is that Nick Fury and Maria Hill are going to become the S.H.I.E.L.D. on Earth, and instead Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will still transition into Agents of S.W.O.R.D. and operate primarily in space, which would actually mean that they are out of the way for anything the MCU wants to really do with S.H.I.E.L.D. It means that they don't have to acknowledge each other. I hope they don't do this, because it means that a lot of the development that's happened in the past 5 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of rendered useless, and I would rather that they just found a way to work them both together. But yeah, that's kind of it. So what do you think? Do you think the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 and Spider-Man Far From Home are going to be connected, or do you think that they're just going to not acknowledge each other? But thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, and have a great day.